All right, guys. So we are going to get into our A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise tier maker ranking live with the chat. Of course, if I really feel strongly about one of these, I'm going to keep it in the category I put it in. But you guys know how this rolls. Sometimes I let the chat influence me if I'm on the fence. So let's see how this one rolls. We've got 5 categories. The top category is Welcome to Prime Time, bitch. That's the best of the best, right? Like you are prime time, Freddy. Like you're top tier. Oh yeah. And then the next one, which is pretty dang close, is You Are All My Children Now. And that's like you're pretty dang good. You're just maybe you're not prime time, but man, this is a good movie too. Every town has an Elm Street. That's kind of like, yeah, this is middle of the road. Every town's got one of these. Like, ain't nothing special, but not bad. We got Screw Your Pass, which is we're reaching the bottom of the barrel here. Not too good. And then of course we got You Forgot the Power Glove, which is the worst of the worst. Jokester Freddy. Not even just Jokester Freddy, but like cartoon level Jokester Freddy. So yeah, guys, those are the categories. What do you think of the categories? Are we good with those? I think those are pretty fun. And how bad or how good is my Freddy imitation? I don't know. I'm no voice actor yet. All right. Everyone's getting their last couple things in here. Jamie said, I'm a lefty, but I don't care what people are politically. There you go. There you go. I think that's just a healthy attitude to have, is like, it's sort of like religion to a certain degree, where it's like to not push it and to be welcoming to others. That's probably the best way to get people to like see that maybe your point of view has some like merit, and, they can take something from your personality or your beliefs because you're being cool about it. I mean, how are you going to, you're not going to browbeat people into believing what you believe. I mean, I guess some people can try, but whatever. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get going here on this ranking. I mean, come on, the first Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, this is a welcome to primetime, bitch, right? I mean, this isn't even close. I don't think this movie could even be, I don't even think you could consider putting this film in a lower category than Welcome to Primetime, bitch. Are you guys happy with the original A Nightmare on Elm Street being in Welcome to Primetime, bitch? Let me know in the chat. This movie just got, the atmosphere, introduction to Freddy. Heather Langenkamp is charming here. Dave McCrae just did a members only watch along yesterday of the original Nightmare on Elm Street. And he was talking about how this is like, Nancy's like the perfect final girl. And it's like, yeah, by 1984, like that formula had been like tested by other movies. And man, Wes really like brought in all of the best elements. While Nancy is like a teenage girl, she also has like these motherly, like nurturing qualities as well. So great character there. John Saxon as a cop in a horror movie. I'll take that all friggin' day. And some really great kills, Johnny Depp's first appearance, getting sucked into the bed and spat out like a blender that chopped him up. Of course, Tina's death is one of the most like disturbing, shocking, scary moments that I can think of in horror. So I think this one, very much deserves to be in that top category. Let's see here. There it is. Aaron says yes, 100%. Gene says yes, I'm very happy. Big Rod says, welcome to Primetime Fits. Jamie, OG, Elm Street's a classic, top tier for sure. OG's the best, belongs in Primetime. Ryan says, I know it's not your style, Davey, but I think it would be fun to see you do a stream stoned. I've done, let's see here. On our last episode of Movie Punks, I took a couple hits. I did a watch along with Matt Facci over on Facci Cinema where we watched The Prowler, and I was hitting the pen the whole time. I guess for me, with these solo streams, it's just so much easier to not be affected that way. I feel like I get less jumbled up with my words and all that kind of stuff. Again, to me, it's kind of a performance. I want to give you guys, the genuine article, which maybe sometimes the genuine article is a Stone Davy, but I want to give you guys my best, so maybe we can do like we did. Kate and I did a watch along of Grandma's Boy that's on the channel. And we were ripping the pens the whole time. So Ryan, if you want to see that, go to the live tab on the channel and watch our 420 special where we watch Grandma's Boy, and you'll see a Stony Davy the whole time. Yep. Worst thing about the OG is the blow up Dalton. Yeah, it is pretty odd, huh? And like fat short Freddy on fire is kind of interesting. Yeah. He just looks so much not like Robert Englund. And then, all right, guys, moving over to Freddy's Revenge. Oh, I think I'm going to disappoint some people here. I'm putting Freddy's Revenge in every town as an Elm Street. If you asked me like 6 months ago, I probably would have put it in You Are All My Children Now, which is where that quote is from. It's from Freddy's Revenge. But again, like when I went and watched all the movies for my franchise ranking that I did on my channel back in May, it didn't keep my attention as much, kind of bored me. I felt like Jesse says the same like 2 or 3 things throughout the whole movie over and over again. And I just think that this one's like, okay. I know I'm probably going to get some pushback on that, but that's totally fine. That's why we're here. Eli says all Elm Street movies are primetime except the crappy remake. We will see, Eli. We will see. You have to do the theater snack tier list, Stone. That's an awesome idea, Medley Man. 100%. And what I should do is I should buy all those snacks and have them here in front of me. What, like have a red vine, eat a sweet tart, like eat a sour punch straw, M&Ms, peanut M&Ms, Skittles, like whatever, all that kind of stuff. Raisinets, even though I'd never eat Raisinets in my life. The last thing I want to do is put chocolate on a raisin. I mean, if I'm going to eat a raisin, I don't know. If you eat a Wonka bar, no one knows that you're partaking of the wacky stuff. There you go. All right, let's see here. It's not children tier. Yes, Freddy's Revenge is in every town. All right. Okay, there we go. Okay, but Freddy is very scary. I do agree with you, Gene. I love Freddy here. But to me, it's, the movie is about so much more, but I agree with you. I think Freddy is awesome in Freddy's Revenge. I just think the rest of the movie is just like, okay. And for Gina, it's her least favorite. Wow. Jamie says Freddy's Revenge was my first Elm Street in the theater, so I got to go with You're All My Children. It's a personal thing. Even as a fanboy, due to nostalgia, I'd rather watch the original over too. Yeah. Oh, yeah. T. Parker says Freddy's Revenge is All My Children Now. Touch Me All Night Long is a top tier scene. Is that the cleanup scene? The room cleanup? Yogurt covered raisins are actually goated. Yeah, those are better than chocolate. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I feel pretty good leaving it there. Every town has an Elm Street. Now, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. I think this one is welcome to primetime, bitch, for sure, right? I mean, this is like a kind of a no-brainer, right? A lot of people say this is their favorite in the franchise, or if it's not, it's their second favorite. It's right there. Again, there's that Nancy trilogy. If you go with the first, the third, and then New Nightmare, pretty good mix there. I don't think I'm going to get any complaints here as far as putting Dream Warriors up in the top ranking. So yeah, there we go. I welcome that bitch to prime time. Bitches love prime time. There we go. Yeah, Ryan, we kind of talked about that. That is a reputation that's relatively new, not something that was talked about when the film came out, but something that's been talked about in the last couple decades, for sure. Yeah. Revisionist history is what I call it. I struggle between this and the original Halloween as the best of all 33 of these films. That would be a fun ranking to do as well. I know a lot of channels have done that where they rank the big three all together. I don't think it's, yeah, we already had that chat earlier today. Aaron says, I agree, Davey. There's a trend to downplay Dream Warriors lately, but its atmosphere earns it a top spot. Yeah, I think you're right. And I mean, I think, to downplay it, it's like, yeah, I mean, there's a reason why it's one of the more popular films in the franchise. And then, yeah, guys, moving on to Nightmare 4. This may be controversial as well. I'm not sure, but I'm going to put Nightmare 4 in You Are All My Children Now. When I went back again and, rewatched the series before doing that franchise ranking in May, man, I really enjoyed part 4, on a whole different level than I'd ever enjoyed it before. I really like Alice as a character here. I really enjoy the montage where she's like putting all the charms, like everything from all of her dead friends, and she's like, gonna wear it into the dream realm to give her strength. Like, I love that kind of scene. The soundtrack's great in part 4. So yeah, man, this one is You Are All My Children Now. And to me, I'm not even on the fence. I wouldn't put this in Every Town as an Elm Street. This one climbed a couple spots in my ranking when I did it last time. Aaron says 4 is Every Town. Medley Man says it's the most underrated Freddy film. I tend to agree with you there, Medley Man. Yeah. Jamie says, I agree. Nightmare 4 is All My Children. Like the soap opera? Just joking. Alice is a fantastic final girl. She does a great job here. The Oct is in there letting us know it's 102 days until Halloween. Love the countdown. Between the Oct and Nicholas McMath, we've got the likes countdown, or the like count, and then the Halloween countdown. Yes, I can taste it. I can taste it. Toronto Freddy is cool with the Dream Master being there. Perfect. Love it. Eli says, off topic real quick, bud, but do you have the Halloween Ends 4K Steelbook? I don't have the 4K Steelbook. I think I only have the Steelbook of the 2018 Halloween movie. I'm not so much of like, I'm a collector, but I'm not like one of the like, I love like Planet CHH and Born to Be Rad and all that, but I'm not the sort of collector that has to have like 4 or 5 versions of the film. Some of them, like I still have like my DVD copies, like Day of the Dead and all that, and I ended up upgrading to Blu-ray. 4K to me, we kind of talked about this during the Jaws 2 stream last night. I don't know if I'm really into 4K. I think it's a bit too clear. I think sometimes like lacking some of the clarity makes the effects look better, especially if the movie was made like years and years ago. So maybe for like Halloween Ends, it would be cool to have the 4K because it's a modern film, right? But I think 4K is just a bit too crisp for me, maybe. I don't know. Aaron Click says, I can deal with your tier ranking. Thank you. Welcome to Wonderland, Alice. Evil Dies in 102 Nights. There you go. Eli, I do not have a PO box. That is amazing, though. How do I find you can you DM me on Instagram or on Twitter, whichever one that you use there? Because I'll share my address. I mean, no one cares about my address at this point. Hopefully at some point I get to the spot where like I want to have a PO box for that kind of stuff. But at 755 subs, I'm not worried about shooting an address off to someone for sure. All right, let's go ahead and get into the next film here. We are looking at part 5, The Dream Child. And for me, this is Screw Your Pass, I think. Maybe Every Town Has an Elm Street. I don't know. I am on the fence. I think like it could sit with Every Town Has an Elm Street. I do think Freddy's Revenge is better. Yeah, better than part 5. So I think part 5 fits here in Screw Your Pass. Let me know in the chat, guys, if you think I should bump it up, or shit, let me know if you think it needs to be all the way down at the bottom with some of these other ones that have yet to come. Let me know. Eli doesn't have any social. Well, maybe I can reach out to you. We'll find a way. Here, let me. I'll shoot you. You can email me. Do you have email, Eli? So shoot me an email, davydeathray@gmail.com. There, I just dropped that in the chat. Shoot me an email, and I'll get you my address. That would be incredibly sweet, man. And of course, Eli, if you end up sending me that copy, I'll do a little physical media show-off show where I'll, give you a shout out, of course, for hooking me up with the copy. And we'll kind of go over, if there's any differences in the features between that and the Blu-ray copy of the film. And then, of course, showing off everything the Steelbook has to offer. That would be amazing. And I would be grateful to you. And man, it's something that no one's ever offered to do. So even just thinking of that is very, very sweet. Thank you. Aaron Click says Dream Child is Screw Your Pass. Screw Your Pass. Passed here. There we go. I agree with that. Okay. Screw Your Pass, says Toronto Freddy. Nicholas McMath says there's 17 likes. Oh yeah, we are climbing the like chart. T Parker says with 4K Blu-ray, I care more about the sound, especially if it's Dolby Atmos. rewatching the original Twister in 4K remaster was an immersive experience. There you go. So yeah, maybe sometimes T Parker, I think it's like how they handle the upgrade too. Cause I think sometimes there's just better crews working on those upgrades where they actually do, go in there and digitally hide the strings and all the stuff from the effects that maybe you see if they don't do their homework. Way back in the day before when Blu-ray was relatively new, I didn't have a Blu-ray player. And what made me get it was that I watched my brother had a Blu-ray copy of the original Jaws. This is 15 years ago or whenever it was. And I watched Jaws on Blu-ray while staying with him when he lived in California. And the way that they had color corrected the sky and the water to be consistent in the final, that final third of the film. And just how beautiful the movie looked, I could tell that Universal put love into that Blu-ray. So yeah, I would imagine with Twister, they probably did the same thing. And I'm not saying I'd never do the 4K leap, but right now I feel pretty content with Blu-rays. Yeah. That mastermind headed Freddy baby can get the fuck out of here. There you go. Raymond, really appreciate you jumping in, man. You're always hanging out in the chat with us. It's great to see you. Can't stay getting ready to go see Twisters tonight. That's awesome. Hope you have a great time, man. Yeah, enjoy the film, and we'll see you next time around. All right, guys. So we're pretty happy with the Dream Child and screw your pass. Now we're moving to Freddy's Dead. I don't think anyone's going to give me any pushback there. Freddy's Dead is undoubtedly... You forgot the power glove. I feel like everyone can do that. It's like an imitation of Freddy. It's like everyone can do a George Bush, right? Everyone can do a Trump imitation, and everyone can do a Freddy imitation. Yeah. Super Freddy from part 5. That scene it's Super Freddy's got a cool look. I do like that black and white, that whole idea. There's little bits in part 5 that are or wait, is Super Freddy part 4? Is it part 4 or part 5? See, now I'm even getting jumbled up. I just saw Chad's comment there. By the way, welcome to the chat, Chad. And now I'm like, wait, is that part 4 or part 5? Because like I said earlier, I'm a relatively casual A Nightmare on Elm Street fans. I don't know them the way that I know Friday the 13th and Halloween for sure. Yeah. There you go. There you go. Power glove. There it is. Medley Man says there are no movies deserving of the bottom in the series, but that's the whole idea though about they all, if there's no movies that were worthy of being there, I wouldn't have the category because we're just comparing them to one another. Yeah. Yep, there we go. You forgot the power glove. Haven't seen Dream Child. It's the only Nightmare on Elm Street movie I haven't seen. Yeah, I mean, I would say just watch it just so you know yourself. To me, it's just sort of a rehash of the movie before it and not as good. Although there is carryover of some of the characters. Super Freddy's Part 5. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. Yep. All right, so we've got Freddy's Dead and You Forgot the Power Glove. Wes Craven's New Nightmare, guys. Where are we putting that? I mean, for me, this is Welcome to Primetime, bitch, all the way, 100%. I really, really enjoy this movie. Again, Nancy Trilogy, Part 1, Dream Warriors, New Nightmare. I love that Wes came back to this one. The whole meta approach is really cool here. Robert getting to play a version of himself and also the jokey version of Freddy, as well as the entity Freddy. Heather playing herself as, an exaggerated version of herself. Really excellent here. Seeing Wes in there, just there's something about this movie. It just feels, like a whole new ball game. It's like Wes coming back and being able to sort of reimagine the series and an early example of kind of a legacy sequel, because really it doesn't really pay attention to, I don't think it names the other movies, but it definitely alludes to the fact that Freddy had become less scary over time, but it doesn't actually mention that those movies even exist in that world. And then again, Miko Hughes, his performance here as Dylan is really good. I mean, you got some really great young child performers in some of these movies. I mean, Danielle Harris in the Halloween series, Corey Feldman in Friday the 13th, and Miko Hughes here in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I think he puts in a hell of a performance here. I really love Dylan's new Nightmare as well, and can't wait to see what happens next with that one. But what do you guys think? Does a new Nightmare belong in Welcome to Prime Time, bitch? Or is it more of a You Are All My Children now? Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Uh, Aaron says, I hate how ridiculous Freddy got. I remember even as a teen, early 20 something, those later Freddy movies were dumb to me. Yeah, definitely got made for kids pretty much. If only H2O was as good as New Nightmare. Yeah, totally agree with you there, Medley Man. If only. Ugh, H2O. There you go. Freddie says it's no contest. Yep, Aaron agrees. Excellent. We're just cruising through this ranking. We're really on the same wavelength. And admittedly, there's not as many movies here with the A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Guys, we are already into the final two. We've got Freddy versus Jason coming back up. And for me, I'm going to put Freddy versus Jason in Every Town Has an Elm Street. I don't think this movie's bad. I don't think it's great. I think it's got certain elements that really work for me. Even though Kane Hodder is close to height as a, Robert Englund, I think this movie would be better if Kane had played Jason. Nothing against Ken Kurtzinger. I don't really like the look of Jason here. And I know we're talking about it from a Nightmare on Elm Street perspective. It definitely gets a higher ranking in this franchise than it does in the Friday the 13th franchise. But it's just, again, it's a movie that I think is like dated. Those early 2000s movies, when they leaned into the style, it's pretty dated. I guess a lot of the movies in this franchise are kind of dated when you look back at them, but there's something about that early 2000s. The CGI isn't quite there. It's almost there. To me, this is just middle of the road. Every Town Has an Elm Street. Basic bitch Freddy versus Jason. Yeah, Aaron, this one has been way easier than most, right? Toronto Freddy would put Freddy versus Jason and Screw Your Pass. Yeah. Oh, man. Yep. Jason too slow and robotic. Flat face, like the mask doesn't look right to me. Jason just doesn't look like Jason in this movie. It's bizarre that they did that. And I think that was Ronnie Yu's decision to recast him, if I remember correctly. Screw Your Pass, says T. Parker. It feels so MTV. You're absolutely right. Yeah, and Ronnie Yu did Bride of Chucky. And that's a movie, like, as I've been going through the, Chucky franchise, I feel like Bride of Chucky, I don't enjoy it as much as I did when it came out, because it's right around in that same era. And it's a movie that I think is so like MTV looking. I don't know. I liked it so much more when it came out. Middle tier says Medley Man. New Nightmare is either top tier or second tier. Excellent. Aaron's leaning more towards Screw Your Pass. All right. Oh my gosh. Oh, you're fine, Jamie. You're fine. You're fine. You can always catch up. No big deal. No big deal. The final fight alone moves it up from Screw Your Pass, says Medley Man. That's a good point. The final fight's fun. Nicholas says it's top tier. And Jamie says, highly entertaining and has some great kills. I love it. All right. You Are All My Children now. So I think Every Town Has an Elm Street's a good mix of what we're seeing here from the chat. I don't think it's like bad. Like part 5 is like kind of boring to me. I don't know I wouldn't say Freddy versus Jason is boring. I would say like at least it's like, again, kind of like a comfort movie, like put it on in the background, do some chores, or like if you just want to like, have a lark, which is something people said in the 1600s. I'm bringing it back, folks. I'm bringing back Have a Lark. And T. Parker says, yes, Bride of Chucky is overrated. And again, at the time when it came out, it was refreshing. That's the interesting thing about time. When Bride of Chucky came out, it was like, oh, sweet. Like they're leaning into the funny stuff with Child's Play. They're taking it a little bit further than they did in parts 2 and 3. But yeah, when I go back and watch them, I'm like, yeah, I enjoy the first 3 on a totally different level that I look at like the back half of that franchise. And I've yet to see the TV show, so I know nothing about the TV show. You guys are great. Gene liked Freddy versus Jason. Yeah, I think liked is a good. Yeah, I think I like it. I think in the middle there, Every Town Has an Elm Street. It's like it's fine, right? Yeah, I think we're in agreement here. Medley Man says I agree. It could be on the You're All My Children. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it. I think every town has an Elm Street. I think it fits right along there with Freddy's Revenge as far as like how much I enjoy it. And both of them having things that I like and things that I don't like. Because I do think Freddy is like pretty cool in Freddy versus Jason. Toronto Freddy never liked Bride of Chucky. All right. Yeah, Aaron, there you go. Jason's afraid of the water. That's a really important thing. That is a big misstep in the movie. And of course, there is the unfortunate use of the other F word, which apparently wasn't written in the script. It was just something that was, I don't know if it was ad libbed or if Ronnie Yu told Kelly Rowland to say that. Doesn't age well. I don't even think back then, like back in 03, that wasn't cool. Like, you know, again, remember when I was talking about being a hippie or not? I had said that I'm sort of in the middle with a little bit on the right. And even 21-year-old Davey, back when this movie came out, I was like, oh, that's rough. That just sounds hateful. Like it doesn't sound funny or that it's being used in any realm of appropriateness. Yeah. It is silly. Yeah. And yeah, overrated is totally, I think like people, at least like if you had asked me before I rewatched it this time, Medley Man, I would have been like, oh, I had such a fun time with Bride of Chucky. And then after rewatching it, I'm like, yeah, it was fine. It was okay. But we're talking about A Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, Aaron, not a good look. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And again, somebody that's like, there's any of those like taboo words, there are creative ways. You have to be very creative and it has to be like really clever if you're going to use those words and not have them come across in a totally dreadful way. And I'm talking like the rarest of the rare. Like in the new Beverly Hills Cop, you know, Eddie Murphy drops a couple N-bombs. And his character did that in the 80s in the original, you know, too. I don't know if in part 3 he's dropping those words, but to me it was like, oh, it is sort of refreshing to have these characters come back. Not everything needs to be so sanitized and all that. So it's like, you know, placement and all about like, does it fit the piece? And I think, yeah, not a good look. And I feel like in this movie, it sticks out like a sore thumb. There it is. Nicholas McMath wants me to bring back words from the 1600s. So let's have a lark, have a great time, and let's finish out let's finish out this franchise ranking. This one's so easy for me. The A Nightmare on Elm Street remake is You Forgot the Power Glove for me. I could see it maybe reaching Screw Your Past, depending on how you guys feel. This movie to me has a complete identity crisis. On the one hand, it is a remake of the original Nightmare on Elm Street. And then on the other hand, it just wants to do its own thing. I felt like, you know, just go ahead and remake it and tell your own story or do a bona fide remake. And I feel like that is the biggest issue here. I know some people say that the performances aren't very good or that Rooney Mara just sort of phoned it in. I guess that it sounds like she didn't have the best experience making this movie. But I can't tell, honestly, from her performance. I think her performance was good. I think Kyle Gallner is a good actor. I think the script here is a friggin' mess. I mean, even when there's like 15 or 20 minutes left in the movie, we're still learning like backstory and finding out more about Fred. It just, to me, it was sort of like, what are we doing? Like by this point in the film, we should already have this information. We shouldn't be like exposition dumping right before the final confrontation. Like that should happen closer to the middle of the film. Our characters should kind of know what they're up against and they should be planning to go fight Freddy. They shouldn't be finding like inappropriate pictures. And I think another thing too is, you know, Wes had considered making Freddy not only a child killer, but also a, you know, a molester in the original series. And they made the decision to just make him a killer because they figured that was bad enough. And I tend to agree. I think Freddy being a child killer is bad enough. I don't think we need to take it to the realm of all the other stuff. You know, in your head canon, you can just sort of like, if you want to assume that he was doing those things as well. But for them to actually acknowledge it here, I think it's just sort of, especially in the last like 20 minutes of the movie, I think it's this weird move to make that doesn't, for me, it doesn't increase the feelings that I have about Freddy. Freddy's already a bad guy. So to drop that in there is just sort of unnecessary. To me, it doesn't do much. And unfortunately, while I do think that Jackie Earle Haley is a fantastic actor, I think his performance here as Freddy is about as uninspired as it gets. The monotone dialogue delivery, the poor dialogue writing. I don't think Freddy's been like, I think maybe in Freddy's Dead, he's less scary than this one, but it's friggin' close, man. Like, even Freddy in part 5, I'd rather have that Freddy than the Jackie Earl Haley, the version that they wrote for him. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad. Great actor, just just everything didn't really fall into place here. Yeah, what can you do? Yeah, for me, that remake is the worst out of the big 3 remakes. With Rob Zombie's Halloween snuggled right up next to it. Nicholas says we've got 19 likes. Thank you so much for the like count, Nicholas. Really appreciate it. And we got Barry from A Wolfman's Got Nards. He jumps in. He says, I think the remake gets a lot of hate, maybe way more than it deserves. Yeah, I just, maybe it's that I don't hate it. I could see myself moving it up to Screw Your Past. I like to work with you guys here. When we do these things live, it's collaborative. I mean, like I said last week, 75% of it's my opinion. I let you guys have 25%. Hope that's cool. To me, it's just unnecessary, right? This remake doesn't carve out its own spot enough. It should have either been a remake or should have been a total reimagining. Stop giving me remade scenes from the original and then trying to tell your own story. Like, I need you to do your own thing, or I need you to be a remake. That's that. So that's why I put this one right up with or right down with Freddy's Dead. Medley Man says Davey would hate Game of Thrones. Yeah, I watched the first couple seasons, didn't think it was very good. Again, TV is just baits you to watch the next episode. Hardly anything happens in some of those episodes. You expect like boobs and someone to die. To me, Game of Thrones, it didn't do much for me. But I did watch the first few seasons. My brother was a 3D matte painter on season 3 or 4. He was one of the lead guys there. And everyone's saying, what's up to Barry? Great to see that. Wolfman. So Barry says, definitely not a good movie, but not awful. Yeah, I think, like I said, I could bump this one up to Screw Your Pass. I want to see what you guys think here. T. Parker says his remakes of the big 3, Friday the 13th, Halloween, and Nightmare on Elm Street. I put them the same exact way, T. Parker. I really enjoy the Friday the 13th remake from 2009. I'm not saying that it's a perfect film or anything like that, but there's so much to love there. I know that not everything works for everyone, and just like any other movie, there's probably some things that I would switch around if I, were living in a world where I got to do that to every movie I ever watched. But as it is, I really enjoy it. Marcus Nispel, I've said this so many times on the channel, to go from the Texas Chainsaw remake and then to jump in and do the Friday the 13th remake. Nispel shows his ability to, be a visceral, intense, brutal director. You can feel the brutality in the way that he places the camera, moves the camera, and the performances he gets from the actors. So I really respect the work that he does. And like, what has he made since then? It's sort of a shame that when I think of him, I only think of 2 remakes. I don't know if he has an original film that's really great. Maybe I'm missing something. Yeah, it's missing Hart. It's missing Jamie Hart. Wolfman says Friday remake is the best Friday movie by far. Barry, for me, it's like top 5 for sure. I would say, like, I love Jason Lives. I'm a Jason Lives stan. Jason Lives in the final chapter I really enjoy, but man, I do really, really love that remake. It's the most interesting Jason's ever been. Jason's like a spider. Crystal Lake is his web. You walk and you hit one of those tripwires and he pops out of a trap door like a trap door spider, like a friggin' tarantula. And I like that, even though he certainly does still have like some diminished intellect because of, his his affliction, his situation. But I do like that there's some like animal instinct there. And Jason's friggin' scary in this movie. When he flicks on the floodlights and starts like throwing like the canoes all over the place, like, it's friggin' scary, man. Toronto Freddy says, I couldn't take a 5'4" Freddy seriously. It wasn't imposing whatsoever. Oh, I have not seen Little Children with Jackie Earle Haley, but I know that, yeah, he won an Oscar for that one. Yeah. So I mean, let's just really quick, guys, before we move on into our like just jumping fully into the chat. I just want to wrap up the tier maker ranking here for A Nightmare on Elm Street. So in Welcome to Primetime Bitch, the top category, we've got A Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, and Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Now, in the second category, You Are All My Children Now, we've got A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. Now, in the middle road here, every town has an Elm Street, nothing too flashy, but it's not bad. We've got A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, and Freddy versus Jason. And in Screw Your Pass, hanging out by itself, A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, and all the way down in the basement for You Forgot the Power Glove, we've got Freddy's Dead and A Nightmare on Elm Street from 2010. And that wraps up the tier maker ranking for the A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.